What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Love and Rice, hosted by Aunt Ma and
Christina Ma.
There we go. And we got some special guests today. We got Kasey Ma and also Mr. Vince Shu. Does everyone say Shu?
Yeah, Vince Shu, you got it right.
See, it's not as like known. You know what I mean? That's okay.
Shu. Let's say Vince.
I'm Chinese, he's Chinese, and we both don't. I mean, not both, but I don't even know his last name like that.
The X's are always,
it's a little difficult.
You get a lot of different pronunciations.
But if you didn't notice, we got 3 Ma's in the house today, and
An honorary Ma.
it's
Honorary
so
Ma, right.
rare to find another Ma.
It's true. Yeah. Like we're just a rare breed.
Like
But we all connect.
You're an actual Ma. She's married into a Ma.
Yeah, I'm like
I
an
know.
actual blood ma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doesn't Ma mean horse?
It
It
does mean
does.
horse.
Chinese?
So I grew up with a lot of like horse paintings in my house.
Yeah.
I'm not. You think that's funny? What is your last
Why?
name? What is
What?
shoe?
Yeah, shoes.
Yeah, what
I
shoes
just
are
got
you
a
using
bunch of Jordans, dude.
What is Shu in Chinese?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Shu? You know, I don't really know.
Shu, the way you said it just sounds like a tree.
Shu?
Shoe.
Nah. I don't even know.
Sounds like
I know,
fish,
I know
but
how to
it's not.
Oh,
write
fish?
No, fish is
Shoe.
you. Well, that's
You.
Cantonese.
it. Yeah.
All right. Well, moving on, guys. If you've never met Kasey and Vince before, or you might have seen them on a TV show called The One That Got Away on Amazon Prime Video. And I honestly think it was one of the best reality dating shows I've ever seen. I don't watch much of it. And Christina watches it all the time. All kinds of dating shows on Netflix and Amazon. And I'm just always like, why are you watching these things? Why don't we watch something more educational? But when she has this on...
What a hater.
Did you not
I
learn
love
something
it.
from our show?
No, I actually love watching your show, and it's because the way they portray you two on the show. We never get to see much Asians on Netflix, or well, we started seeing them on Netflix, right? And then now on
Just
Amazon
on screen
Prime.
in general, that
But-
Asian representation.
Yeah, and I just love it because you guys look so damn cool on TV. You know,
Thank you.
whenever you had some shit going down, you stood up for yourself, and I was just like, yes, I was cheering for you every time that happened. And then Vince being the Mr. Buff guy, I'm like, yes, finally a buff Asian guy and not an Asian nerd. And I love that.
It's funny that you mentioned that because when you usually see like Asian women on screen, you always see these like fragile little like dainty women that aren't really like dominant and have like not so much of like an assertive personality.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, on this show, I feel like they really portrayed my personality where I really stood up to someone who might have defied me and tried to steal my man. And, usually like a shy person would just be like, okay, whatever. That means that man wasn't for me. But I was like, no, that man came for me. Let me tell you what's up. So it was definitely...
I love that.
Yeah, I was like, if this is my man, like no one can take him. You can't even look at him. I literally told her that. So I was really glad that they showed me like standing up for myself and being like a strong woman.
At any point of the show, did you feel like you were starting to represent all Asian females across like the world, all these ABGs?
Well, it was actually before I was cast.
Okay.
That I was like, I have a mission to show what a good representation of an Asian woman could be.
Yeah.
On national television.
I mean, you're really shown as the normal Asian girl, the Asian American girl that we all know.
That we know, yeah.
Like they never
Exactly.
show that. So I loved it.
Yeah, I was like, there's so much lack of Asian representation. And, for Asian women, usually we're sent home like episode 3 or 2, especially on The Bachelor, Bachelorette, like the Asian women don't really get a spotlight ever. So to know that I was going to be in basically every episode, I was like, it's literally my duty to set a good example of what an Asian woman in media could portray. So that was something I was really looking forward to, kind of setting the tone for.
That's what I loved about the show because you could yell at people. Vince could be buff. And I'm like, normally it's just really soft Asians.
But you didn't even have to yell at people. Like you just stood your ground and you didn't take any shit from anyone. And I feel like that was really awesome to see.
I feel like my words just spoke for itself.
Yeah, you were classy about it. You weren't
you.
like...
I thought you were going to get down at one point.
Yeah, someone said, they were like, why didn't you punch her in the face?
Yeah.
And I was like, because I don't fight with my fist. I fight with my
with your
mouth.
What?
What that mouth do though?
What else? What
With
is-
my words.
Yeah,
That's
what
what
are we
I
talking about here? Pause.
But I think there's like more grace in
Yeah,
being able to
exactly.
stand up for yourself with what you say and how you think and how you make them feel rather than like with your hands.
Yeah, and I think that's what was really awesome about the show because of the Asian representation. And you guys were not like side characters that had maybe 1 to 2 minutes of screen time the entire show, but you actually were the main characters.
I think that's also the difference between guys and girls. As a guy, I'd have been like ready to sock someone in the face.
That's true.
Any kind of disrespect, I would have taken you down. But it could have been like the little man syndrome in me too. You know?
Yes, I can vouch.
No. But, no. Hey, but if I get down,
not there.
Showing bruises, it's not showing on camera.
but you know, if I get down, like I'm always winning.
Yeah, we ready to scrap.
So
right.
I don't just say shit. I actually get down. But for Vince, like you seem so genuine and cool during the whole show, and I didn't ever see you get mad.
Yeah, I was pretty, I think, like cool-headed the whole time. I mean, I didn't really have too much drama. Like all the women that showed up for me were like fantastic. Like they were all like very high quality women. Like I felt like
high quality.
Yeah, high quality.
What is
like,
They were all
quality about?
very,
What does that
very,
mean?
very hot.
yeah, well,
Yeah, they're all pretty.
yeah. I think
They
I had
were.
a lot of like not only just pretty, but like you know they all had like their
Intelligence.
careers. Yeah, careers
Yeah.
like intelligent. They're all really well spoken, and it just seemed like they were all very like just overall like they were looking for like a genuine connection with me.
It did seem like you had hard choices. Some of the girls, like you had two girls that you were trying to choose between, right? It was like an Asian girl and
Yeah, and Manoush, Middle Eastern.
Persian.
Yeah.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
they both looked like they were really falling in
Yes.
love with you. So I'm really curious. Is this being on a reality show? What part is fake? What part is real? Because I always feel like it should all be real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like for my storyline at least, everything was like real. Like I was never told what to say. I wasn't really even set up in like different scenarios. Like everything was just like kind of my own free will, which I was surprised. I was like, "Are you guys sure you don't want me to run that again?" Because like they would just do one take for me, and I'm like, "That's it. Like
Where's
we're
the
good."
script?
They were like,
Yeah.
"No, Vince, we just want you to be yourself." I'm like, "Dang, this is crazy. It doesn't even feel like I'm on a
awesome.
TV show. It just feels like I'm just living life right now."
It's like, you sure you don't want me to take off my shirt one more time?
Yeah, let me get this angle.
That part might have been produced, maybe.
Right?
Or
So-
his own will. I mean, we never know.
If you guys never watched the show, literally every episode, Vince takes off his shirt.
Yeah,
You know.
seriously.
I think there was also
And-
like a shower scene too, right?
Oh
There-
my god!
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I
He's
just
like,
remember.
why do you
I
remember,
remember that moment because I was like, why are they filming him in the shower? This is so awful.
Okay, no, that scene. All right, it's funny because we had another cast member who was talking to producers. Oh, like I want you guys to film me in the shower just to get like a more of a thirst trap kind of scene.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, Vince, can we do that with you too?" And I was like, "I guess, like sure."
Sure.
And it's funny because like, you don't see my bottom, but I'm wearing Jeff's speedo.
Oh my God.
Because they've been trying to get me in a speedo for like the whole show, and they're like, "Oh, this is our chance."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right, yeah, I'll wear the speedo." But I didn't think like they were actually gonna put that scene like on TV, and I was like, "Oh my god!" There's like a
They really
slow mo
did.
scene.
They
There's even a
did.
GIF. Like there's a GIF of me just like in the shower, and you see my body.
Oh my
And
God.
it's like, oh my god, I can't. I
Uh-oh.
It was
cringe.
literally every episode, okay? If you guys have never seen it, he's just naked in every episode. But he looks good. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the first time I met Ant, he literally came up to me. He's like, "Bro, like my wife has been watching your show, and every time I walk in the room, you're just shirtless, bro. Like, what's up with that?"
And it was always the timing. He's like, why are you watching this like half naked guy on the show? And I'm like, dude, but he's just always half naked.
true.
And then I laid on the bed next to her and washed with her every single time.
And did one of these. every
It is.
time.
I did do that
Like,
all the
"Whoa,
time,
what are you
dude.
doing?
Yeah, I had to cover her eyes all the time.
Oh my god. That's true. Your shirt is like always off.
Well, I mean, I was like getting in shape. I was like, all right, this is the only time in my life where I really need to be in like my
Yeah.
best shape. I was working out so hard, like throughout the whole audition process. Cause like
Yeah.
I had a good feeling. I was like, there's a good chance I might actually get cast. And even when the producers were like, hey, keep doing those ab rolls, man, keep doing them. And I was like, okay.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna
Right.
keep
Yeah.
going.
You didn't take it lightly.
I even hired like a trainer for like 3 months to like prepare for the show.
Nice.
Yeah, and I like think I saw him like 3 times a week.
Did
So
you?
so I got like 5 seconds of bikini time.
Yo, you have some thirst traps.
5 seconds. Do you want to compare the length of time? Because you will definitely lose.
You look good though. You look
There was
good.
one
You-
scene where I was like coming out of the pool. I was like, 1, 2. Oh, it's gone. Damn it.
All right, well, I got
That's all
this
they
question.
needed to show.
Yeah.
Since you guys are talking about always being naked on camera and stuff, and
I wasn't naked enough, but whatever.
but growing up in the
know.
Asian culture, a lot of Asian parents aren't receptive of you guys being on TV and being out there and stuff like that. Like, how did your parents take it being on the show?
Yeah, I think I was really lucky because I've been a content creator since like 2015.
Yeah.
So they've been used to me being in the public eye for a long time. And I had that hurdle of, them accepting me, all my thoughts in the world and not being conservative and all of that.
But at first they weren't receptive.
No, in the beginning they were like, "Why are your thoughts even online?" Even before
your
I started,
thoughts.
even before putting pictures on, I was like
You're
blogging.
blogging.
right?
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
they were like, "Why are your personal feelings and your thoughts out in the open?" They're like, "This is dangerous. Like, this is not for you."
Yeah.
They're like, "You should be studying and not doing this like creative stuff." Because I was designing websites too, and they were just so against it. And then when Instagram came out and I adapted that, they were like, "Oh no." Like, she's
Like
even more
another
public.
platform.
Yeah. And then when it came time to me quitting my job and doing it full time, my
Yeah.
dad's like, "Are you ready to be homeless?" He's
Wow.
like, "Because we're not going to house you. We don't really support this dream. And like, you have to take care of your rent and all of your stuff by yourself." And he's like, "So you have to prove to yourself that you can do this."
Does your dad know how much money you can make just by showing your feet?
Oh my gosh.
I don't think he would support that part.
That's
Your feet?
pretty weird.
Hey,
I wouldn't
no,
want my
no.
kids doing
I
that.
think if my daughter showed her feet
No.
rather than
No.
anything else.
No,
Why?
because it's so
Crazy.
sexual.
Is it?
Yes.
I just
people
find it.
fetishize about that.
It's a foot fetish. That's what people
Yeah,
are
you're crazy.
Oh, I
buying
just didn't take it so
pictures for.
seriously.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
They
it's just
fantasize
like,
about
look,
it.
guys, why are you looking at
No.
people's feet?
It's just, it's not a sculpture. They like,
Yeah. To
look
the-
at it to,
That foot
So-
is like looking at
Dream.
boobs for them.
Boobs?
Yeah, it's like the
Yes.
equivalent of boobs.
You guys want to see some man boobs right now?
Oh, stop. Not with that
Kick 'em off.
cankle.
I mean, keep them on.
Hey, for the OnlyFans, bro. We gotta save that for the.
OnlyFans,
I didn't
guys.
cut my toenails, so I'll keep my socks on.
Yeah,
my
yeah, keep those
gosh.
on. After maybe you get a pedicure,
Ugh.
we'll reconsider it.
What were you doing before you were getting into content creation then for your parents to respond that way?
I was in corporate retail, so I was
okay.
doing like financial planning, buying, and then I did pricing management, and then was on track to do consulting, and I was doing software sales.
Oh,
Yeah, at like a data analytics company. So my job just kept getting nerdier and nerdier and nerdier, and like Excel was like my best friend, and I was basically just like forecasting numbers all day. And like eventually speaking to like C-suite people and telling them like kind of what to do.
yeah.
And I was dealing with like mergers of different companies under like really big corporate retail brands, and kind of like moving over the data and like teaching them how to use the software, and then also developing software on the side.
That's why your dad responded the way that he did, because he's like, you have a good job, like a stable
Yeah.
career. Why would you
yeah.
want to go into?
I was making 6 figures at like 23. Like
Wow.
he was
Wow.
just really shocked that I was like gonna give up 6 figures to possibly make like 35 to 50K.
Yeah, and
He was just like, what? He's like,
That's
he's like,
crazy.
why did I send you to NYU? Like, what is the point of your economics degree if you're just gonna do marketing online? He's like, you should have just done marketing a major. And I was like,
Yeah.
I've literally asked you to be a marketing major, but he didn't think it didn't make enough
lucrative?
money.
Okay, so you actually already knew that you wanted to get into marketing before that.
I did, yeah. And he
Wow.
actually advised against it. So I listened to him, and now I'm back in marketing.
yeah, now nobody in this generation listens to their parents. We all used to, but now we all do our own thing.
Yeah,
Right? We're
I
all on
listened to
social
him.
media.
And then I like didn't
You
listen
tried
to him
it
later.
Yeah.
But I tried it because I was trying to be like a good daughter and be
Right.
like, okay, yeah, like maybe he does know what's best. He used to like be really poor. He grew up in the ghetto. So I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I like listened to him for a very long time. And then I just kept straying away. I couldn't help it.
It wasn't your passion.
It just didn't have enough creativity that I thought it would.
Yeah.
So I, brought my business side from what I learned in my corporate job, and then, applied it to social media. And then I think, that's why I'm more successful now.
I feel like growing up in an Asian household with like Asian parents, I feel like that's just all the pressure that you get from having Asian parents. Because even for me too, before we got into social media, I was actually in HR, and I was an HR manager like for many years. And when I first started coming into doing social media, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be in the public eye now. And when you're in HR, within a company, you have to be so professional because either employees they'll like you and they'll try to suck up to you and be super friendly to you, or they'll hate you and they'll just completely ignore you because they know how much power like an HR person has. So when I was trying to do both, I was trying to juggle it, and I would have employees come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I watched your channel." I'm like, "Oh shit, shut up. My manager's right there, you know?"
Yes. I remember struggling with this so much too. Like when I was in corporate, I had to like hide the fact that I had an Instagram because I feel like they would just judge me.
Yes.
And then eventually when they found out that I was being a blogger and a fashion blogger and the content creator, they would kind of like talk behind my back a lot.
Oh my God.
They would like whisper a lot. They would like be like, "Oh, she thinks she's so cool to like be public like this." So then when I quit, it was like the best thing in the world because I was like, let me show you how I can be successful at this.
Yeah,
because
you could be
you
yourself.
laugh at me now and you bully me now, but like look what I'm going to become. You know? And then I look now and I'm like, their lives suck compared to mine.
Yeah, now you're shining. You're on a reality show and you're doing so much more. You're starting your own businesses.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're representing the Asian community.
This is why like you just cannot listen to your haters, and if you do, take it with a grain of salt and use it as fuel for your ambition.
Yeah.
Honestly. So yeah.
How about you, Vince? In terms of your parents, did your mom and dad both approve of you being on the show, or were they have their differences?
Yeah. So before the show, my life was pretty private. Like my Instagram was private. I didn't really, even watch reality TV, but I got reached out to by Bumble or through Bumble by the producers. I remember just going through the audition process.
What's Bumble?
the dating app.
The dating
app.
Yeah, they reached out to me there.
What?
And then I was just auditioning on like the low. Like I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I mentioned to my like parents, my mom would just be like, "Oh, like why are you wasting your time?" Because I'm a full-time lawyer still. You know? So it's like they're not really thinking that I'm doing anything else. Like they're like,
it's a total
Like,
shock
you're
because
set.
you weren't on social media before this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was pretty private. And then I remember like towards the end, once I actually got the role, that's when I finally told my parents, like, okay, hey, I'm gonna be on reality TV, and they're just like, what's that? Like they don't even know what reality TV is, Like my parents are like old, like Chinese parents, and they just watch like the Chinese channel. And
Do
like,
they even know who Kim Kardashian is?
they have no idea who
What?
these people
That's
are.
great.
Yeah,
Doesn't she have like
exactly.
100 million followers or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, my parents
Something.
don't know social media. They don't know any of that.
Wow.
So it's like for them, they're just like, okay, like what are you really doing? I told them it's like gonna be on Amazon, and they're just like, well, that's where we buy our packages from. Like, they didn't
What's
even know about,
Amazon?
like they had like Prime Video.
Yeah.
And so I had to tell them like, no, this is gonna be, watch. Like people are gonna watch all over the world. Like, and their like reaction was kind of like, oh, like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because what if they make you look a certain way because you're a lawyer? Your image is very important.
Yeah.
And that was also my kind of I was a little apprehensive too because I wasn't sure how I was gonna be portrayed. You see a lot of these other reality dating shows, the Asian guy gets cut really early on. You don't get much screen time, and it's just like you can also get painted as like the bad guy, And so I was a little bit like careful, but I got a lot of reassurance from the producers, really like promising that they were going to portray us in a positive light.
They made you guys look really good on TV. I'm so proud of how you guys were on the show and how they even showed you guys. Like I felt like a proud Asian brother.
Yeah, so the producer of our show actually came from the Bachelor franchise.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they want to do something different, right? Because like in the Bachelor franchise, it's very much like white male and white female kind of like dominant. Like,
Right.
you don't really
Right.
see many Asians there, and if you do, they're cut pretty early.
Yeah.
And so they told us they want to do something different, like something that people haven't really seen before.
Yeah.
And so that's why like they brought us in, and they wanted to showcase our personality and really, show what Asian love would look like on
Hell
screen.
yeah. I hope you guys shocked the world on that because being Asian, I was shocked. I was like, I can't believe I'm seeing these two normal Asians on TV right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see like their whole story.
Yeah.
It's not just like a snippet or anything like that. Just crazy.
I think a lot of people don't watch these shows on Amazon Prime because it's still kind of new compared to Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
So what is your show actually about?
Yeah, so it's called The One That Got Away.
Yeah.
The whole premise is that people from our past come back and date us. But it's not like we're dating our exes. It's more so like we're dating misconnections. And it's really cool the way they have it set up, because like, you know how in Love is Blind they have like the pods,
Yeah.
right? And it's like I think Too Hot to Handle, they have like Lana, like their little like gimmick type of thing. Like our thing was
That's
like this
right.
like mystical like portal. I remember like the way they were shooting it too, they had all this like fog and smoke, and
Yeah.
you walk down this like enchanted
pretty cool.
forest type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was so sick. And then like someone comes out of the portal, and then you finally see, and it's like genuine craziness, because you're seeing someone you haven't seen in like years, right? Like the first girl that came through for me, I haven't seen her since college. Like I'm like 30 at the time, right? So it's like that's like around like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
But like I still recognize, I'm like, oh my God, like what are you doing here? Like, you know, like we used to like, you know, party together in college and stuff like that. But like I never knew, you know, really thought like, oh, maybe we could have dated.
And they never told you guys who was coming.
No.
And they
didn't.
just did a deep research through
Yeah.
your whole past.
They went through like our Instagram, Facebook, contacted like my best friends for like
Wow.
lists of girls. Like
Yes,
it was
exactly.
intrusive. Like I literally had girls DM me and be like, Vince, is this a scam? Like, what is this? Like, and I'm just
Oh.
I was
I'm
always
like,
curious about that.
yeah, I'm like a low key, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be on a reality dating show. I don't know if you're interested.
They weren't even supposed to message you like that
They
because
weren't, yeah.
none of my guys that came from me messaged me before because they're like not supposed to.
Yeah, you signed an NDA.
Oh.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
like a surprise.
Well, the girls that did come for me, none of them actually messaged me, so they were
I
all
see.
like genuine.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, that's good.
Yeah,
At
That's
least you
dope.
remembered all of yours though.
that's
I-
true.
I
Yeah,
know. I remember that one guy that you just couldn't remember on the show.
Yeah, I really could not. I was like, I don't think I've ever had interest in such a tall man. I remember just like sitting there and like you just see their black silhouette first before you see their face. So I'm just staying there and I'm like,
Who is?
I mean, he kind of looks attractive, I guess. And then I'm like, who is this? Like, I have no idea. And he comes out and I'm like, ah! And I'm like, damn, who are you?
Oh,
know?
you really didn't know.
You tried.
No, I
not to
really
play
did
it
not
off.
know who he
Wow.
was. They must have like dug through my Facebook friends and like went through
Yeah.
my mutual friends. You know, like I went to one of the biggest schools in the country, NYU. So it's like, you know, you meet people at parties all the time, but you never see them again.
Right.
So I think he was just one of those people. And yeah, I just did not remember him. And then eventually we talked later. He didn't know who I was either. So
What?
he thought he was coming on for a Kasey Marr, who's white.
Wow.
So we both were not. We did not know each
Whose
other.
fault was that?
That's
Was that the
crazy.
producer's
That's
fault?
producers.
It was.
Oh,
I think it was the
wow.
producer's fault for not sending them my picture.
Oh,
and
my
making
gosh.
Also, they
sure.
didn't even. That is
Yeah, and I was
crazy.
like, wait, what? And then they were like,
Got
okay, we're just
catfish.
not gonna show this on TV. And I was
Yeah.
like,
It was just too late at that point.
yeah,
So you
at
guys
that
were-
time, I was like, whatever. And I was like, to me, I thought he was like a good looking dude. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just treat this like it's The Bachelor,
yeah.
right? The Bachelorette, and like he's just a blind date. And I actually wound up getting feelings for him, which kind of sucked, but whatever.
We're not going to mention his name because some people don't deserve recognition.
And he deserved
So,
that anyway.
But
Yeah,
I,
bye.
I genuinely loved your show, and I'm thankful that Christina actually watched it, and I got the
See?
chance to watch it with her. I'm not going to watch any other ones with you, though, Christina, because I don't care for these dating shows, except for Vince and Kasey's. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about is dating in your 30s better than being married? So
in your 30s.
Christina and I have been married for over 10 years. We're almost at 11 years.
Crazy.
And
I
we have not experienced dating in your 30s because we got married in our late 20s. So you guys are the ones with all the experience out here. Well, how's your life been in dating in your 30s?
Yeah, so you guys actually missed dating in your 20s because you guys were in long-term relationships, but now being single in your 30s, like how is that? How does it feel?
So in the last episode, guys, Kasey mentioned that she's been dating she's in an 8-year long-term relationship, and Vince was in a 9-year long-term relationship. So it was almost like you guys were married in your 20s.
It
Yeah.
did feel like that.
Pretty
It
much,
really
yeah.
did. Because I was like living with my ex for basically the same amount of time. Like I think we moved in together after like 1 year.
Wow.
So we were living together for 7. So yeah, I mean, going from that to the dating world has been very different because dating apps also didn't exist before.
Oh, that's
When
you
I
guys
first
are on
started dating.
all kinds of dating apps now. I don't even know what exists.
I mean,
Yeah.
I am on them. And like when I first moved to LA, like that's when I was single. So it's probably the worst city to ever be single in for the first time, to be honest. No offense.
In LA,
LA
why?
boys.
Everyone's just trying to look for a booty call.
Yeah. In the beginning, yes. Because
Well,
like
yeah,
I was
when you're
naive,
young.
right? And I was like vulnerable. And I was like, yeah, these guys have great intentions. Like they want long-term relationships. And then like after, a handful of them, I was like, wait. I was like, they all kind of scream F-boy to me.
Yeah.
So then I got like really quick and I was like, okay, now my F-boy radar is like pretty good. And yeah, I mean, it's been difficult, I would say. Like in the beginning, it was much more traumatic because I didn't know what to expect because
Yeah.
I've never dated before. So I was definitely more like hurt and more vulnerable.
So when you say that it's more difficult in your 30s, it's because now you know what you're looking for, so it's harder to find that exact person.
I would say, yeah, it's difficult to find that person.
That's a good thing though, because you know what you want.
Right. So like I would rather have this situation than in my 20s, like fall for a guy that's not good for me.
Yeah.
And I think
exactly.
that was kind of what happened with a lot of my exes, like in my 20s or whatever. It's like I kind of went for the guy that was just head over heels for me. And I was just like, okay, this means love. This is good. This is healthy. That means he like really adores me, would take care of me. But, once all of that kind of like fades, right? It's like, how am I growing
Yeah, you're just settling.
in this relationship? So, that's when I decided to move on from my ex. And I realized, my future partner, I want to grow together with that person. And if they're not on the same level or trying to be better in their life, I'm better off being single because that's when I'm my most productive. So it's like, if you can't help me be a better person or be more productive, then like, I don't really want a partner
Yeah, you
until I
wanna
find
waste
that
your time.
person.
That's definitely something I've learned in my 30s is that growth.
Mm-hmm.
Finding someone for that growth, right? And I'm thankful that Christina is with me on this growth journey because we've been doing YouTube for like 8 years.
Yeah.
So we've grown together and we just keep growing. And it's so hard to find that. And we found it young, not even knowing that was there, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think there's something really special about that though. Like when you have that connection when you're younger,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, the way you guys met, probably it wasn't through a dating app.
No.
No.
Right? Like there was some serendipity behind that, that first encounter, the way that romance sparked and like you guys built on that.
I don't know. I wasn't even looking for a girl.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
just-
the best
that's
time
what-
to
that's the
find
best, when
someone
you're not
when
even
you're
not
looking.
expecting it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think like you, Kasey, you probably agree too. Like when we were in such long-term relationships, like those like just kind of happened organically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And then
True.
like, I mean, if you saw us on the show, like our reality show, the one that got away, like I went on that because I thought, oh wow, this will give me an opportunity to date, not on the dating apps, but actually give me a chance at a serendipitous romance, something that
Yeah.
I can just build organically. Because nowadays, like online dates and everything, it feels so like you're just going
Contrived.
through the motions. Like you're like, it's, I don't know, like
You're
formulaic
filtering
in
it
a way.
out.
Yeah, you're filtering it out, and like the connection doesn't feel as genuine, and
Oh.
because of that,
Gotcha.
it's like the foundation isn't really there to be able to to create that
There's
push
no.
and pull that you need, that like little more of a cat and mouse type of chase,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
I see.
and that like puppy love. And that's, I think, what, when I look back at my 9-year relationship, that was like the way it started, and that's how like it built to something that could really last. I could, like nowadays people give up so fast.
Yeah.
They
You
That
go
is
on a
very
couple
true.
dates
Yes.
and then you start seeing some red flags and you're just like, on to the next one. Because what the apps are doing is it gives you so many options, but it's more of like the illusion of options, right? Because you're so many options that you don't end up just choosing one. You just want to keep going and looking for the next best thing.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, that's kind of like you're shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I think for me, being a man dating in his 30s is very different from dating in your 30s as a woman, right? Because from a man's, like, from my perspective, like I'm 32 now. I feel like I'm at like my like peak. Like women, want to date someone that has like a career, that has like, they're like more of an established lifestyle already.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you're in your 30s, you have that.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I'm at that age now where it's like I could also date older too, right?
Yeah.
Because like girls in their like late 30s, like they, you know, like they already know that men probably, you know, are at the point where they're mature and ready to settle down once they get into their 30s. Because when you're in your 20s, you're still kind of like in your play mode. Your friends
Yeah.
are going out, and you're,
Your
you know,
F-boy phase.
you're a little bit more
Hashtag
F-boy
single.
phase. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't really get because I was in such a long-term relationship,
Yeah,
right?
same here.
So we miss that. So I mean, for the past couple, you know, like I guess being in our 30s is the first time I was really single for the extended period of time, right? And I'm still currently single, but like before that, I've never been single. Like I was in a 9-year relationship, and then I was single for maybe like 5-6 months, and then boom, I hopped into a 3-year relationship right after
Yeah.
that. Right. So like I think both of us, like we're now actually exploring and dating like truly and dating for ourselves for
Yeah.
like the first time.
Yeah.
You know, you actually brought up a good point a minute ago, how you're saying that you lose that organic foundation when you don't create the opportunities of meeting people without filtering, right? And I think this is the male perspective where like Vince kind of wants to create all these opportunities. So if you're on Tinder, you're gonna swipe for every girl, right? Sorry, I don't know. Is it swipe? I don't know.
I don't know. Do you
But
know?
That's the other way.
I
The
don't
right
know.
is the good way.
So he
So you're gonna.
So he wants to give every girl a chance, right? That's a guy's mentality. But then the girls are probably thinking of the guy like, oh, he just wants to get a booty call for every single girl.
Yeah, I would
But
say
it's-
like I'm mostly swiping left, which is a no.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and then if it's a good looking, I'm like, is he an F boy or not?
Yeah.
And then like if he has some redeeming pictures that show that he's not, then he gets to swipe right.
So would you rather do speed dating in person or continue these apps that are pretty much like speed dating?
I'd rather not do
kinda
either,
hard.
to be
I
honest.
don't
Yeah.
I don't know if speed dating would have a great selection
So that's
of men either.
That's
Because,
true.
Yeah.
Because
And
honestly,
you went on a speed dating thing like not too long
I
ago.
didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go.
So like because of the
For good reason.
because I thought about it and I was like, what attractive man that has a good job would go to a speed dating event?
yeah.
And like they wouldn't.
that's not
Right.
enough
Because they
time
can-
to get to.
They
know
can literally
someone.
just go outside and like pick up a girl.
Yeah. The
You know
good
what I
ones don't have time, right? The ones you're looking for who have like a fulfilled life, they don't have time for these type of little shenanigans.
I just think they know who they are and what their value is.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're like, okay, well, I don't need to pay for this or spend my time doing speed dating. It doesn't seem like the upper echelon of women that they would want to like attract.
That's definitely the difference between dating in your 20s and your 30s. In your 20s, you don't care. You got the time and energy to do all that. But in your 30s, you're just really
time.
sticking to your, you know, what you want. And that's it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even like on the apps, I'm like mostly swiping left too. Because
Yeah.
even if you see a hot girl, like they need to be, you know, like a certain criteria. And it's like if you're gonna spend your time and your energy to talk to them,
Yeah.
like they need to be like already like, oh, I am gonna meet up with her. Like the profile already is like enough. I just want to be able to build rapport.
Yeah.
You
So-
know?
Do you guys like that you're dating in your 30s or would you rather be married?
Well, actually, going back to that real quick, Vince, you were actually engaged, right?
You were?
Hey, spoiler alert. I thought you watched the whole show.
I don't remember, man.
You remember all the shirtless parts.
Yeah, you just
yeah,
remember
yeah.
the shirtless parts.
only the important parts. you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was engaged on a show. It's crazy because right, like we were filming the show for like 5-6 weeks, and I got engaged. Yeah, only for 5-6
Wait,
weeks.
You
but-
proposed to Eureka?
Yeah, I proposed to Eureka.
Wow. how
Where
did I
were
totally-
you?
I remember a little bit, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was how the show ended, and I just remember like going. Like in that time, I was like, man, my exes, if they watch this, they're gonna kill me because I was in a 9-year relationship and a 3-year relationship, and
they're
I didn't propose for either of those.
yeah.
And then now I'm like this crazy person who's on TV
Yeah.
for like 5-6 weeks and he's ready to propose. But one thing that people don't really know is that when you're in this environment, right? Like,
Yeah.
like you're focused on love. Like you have
Mhm.
no cell
Yeah.
phone, no internet. Like 24/7 producers are asking you, how do you feel about this girl? You know, like it's like a boot camp for love, and you're just in your feelings. I was journaling every day.
Yeah.
You have these like beautiful dates, perfect dates. I had a hot air balloon, like, you know, like dates that are like you
Yeah.
read out of a romantic novel.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you not get feelings? You know what I mean? How do you not like start feeling something? And then, you know, you start seeing them so much. And I started getting more off camera time with Eureka that, you know, we had a conversation off camera and we're just like, yeah, I think this is something that we want to do.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was like, it wasn't even really like producer induced. Like I was telling you, like my storyline wasn't, you know, like written or like, you know, swayed in a certain way. Like I really chose every single decision myself. And I got down to the final, you know, like couple days, and they're like, we're wrapping up filming. Like we need to, you know, have these endings ready
Someone
for
needs
your
to get
storyline.
married now.
No one even came up to me and asked me like, Vince, you want to get married? It wasn't even like that. It was just more
You
like,
just felt it.
yeah. I remember Eureka asked me, it's like, or she was like, I want to leave as more than just boyfriend girlfriend, and I was just like,
Whoa.
This hope was
she brought
romantic.
it up.
Oh my God.
I was so in my hopeless romantic zone, like Pisces 1000%. Just so much like love pouring out, and I'm just like, which is also why like dating now is just a little bit different, because obviously that didn't end well, right? Like spoiler alert, I'm single, but you know, now it's like going through that, and there was a lot of PTSD from that.
Oh
that
no.
I was just like, oh, I don't want to date for a while, so I took a little bit of a break. And then now, like trying to start dating again, like I like will make a little bit of effort, and then I'm just like, you know what? I told Kasey, I was like, I don't even want to go on dates anymore. Remember I was telling you that? I was like, I'd rather just like when we go out and you know we're doing our events and stuff like that, like to meet people organically,
Yeah.
you know, and
It's
have
definitely the
like
way.
you have that banter and to see them at an event again, and then like you know once you kind of like start seeing someone in your social circle more and more, it's like that organic like connection is like the best, because like nowadays you got to go on a date, it's like such a commitment,
It is.
you know.
Yep,
It's
it
like you
takes
got to
a
block
lot.
out 2-3 hours.
And then for girls, it's like 4 to 5 hours because you have to get ready.
Mhm.
Exactly, and it's just too much. Like I don't know, I that's why like I think referrals, that's the way to go. Yeah, referrals is like the way to go. Like,
No,
Mutual
actually, friend referrals
friends.
are the best because it's like they know you the best, they know that person the best, and like personality is so important to us because we're so sociable people.
Yeah.
We're such sociable people. So knowing how people react to our friends and environment is the most like organic way possible, and probably has the highest success rate for something long term.
The way that we actually met through mutual friends. 'Cause-
See?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't meet through
Yeah.
mutual friends. We were just at the same place, and there were mutual friends there. But I was hitting on you without them.
I thought you were there. I thought you were there with a friend that I knew. That's
So-
the only reason why I
No,
talked to you.
I don't remember. It was either my birthday or someone else's birthday, and she was a bartender at this lounge. And so I was like, I'm gonna go hit up this bartender. I had no idea that we had mutual friends. So
But like being in that same environment happened because of your mutual friends.
Yeah. Well,
Which
I-
is
oh no,
good.
the reason why she talked to me was because of the mutual friends, but I didn't know we had those.
yeah.
yeah, and you're a bartender, so you probably get hit on all the time. So like, oh, I'll give this guy a chance because
Yeah.
he knows these
Yeah.
people.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. Like, I wasn't ready to find a girl at that time because I just got out of a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm gonna see if I can hit on the bartender and see what happens.
Bold move, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna
love
try
it.
a movie thing, right?
What was your line? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
what'd you say?
Shit,
I don't remember.
know.
I just anytime like I think with all customers, I was always like, "Here, take a shot." I was that bartender that would always try to hook you up.
Yeah.
And if you order something, I'd be like, "All right, double, triple, shot it up." You know,
Yeah.
here you go.
Yeah,
I think I was just trying to make her drink with me. That was probably the first thing, and then second would be like go take a break with me, and then third is just keep going back by myself. So like I would never go to the
That
bar
is so
by
romantic.
myself. Like
Oh my
ever.
God.
And he wasn't a
But-
drinker either.
Damn,
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
that energy. Where do we find that? That's effort. We like the effort.
That doesn't exist anymore, right?
It actually-
we're
Yeah,
old
it's old
school.
school.
It is
For real.
rare.
Yeah.
No, but it's crazy though, because I had a boyfriend at that time too. So I was like,
I didn't
very
know.
dismissive. I told you after
Ooh.
he tried to give me a kiss one time, and I was like,
I still got it.
"Whoa."
Yeah.
Kind of, kind
I
of.
mean, hey,
If that
felt
ain't an
good
ego
to me.
boost.
It felt good to you.
Yeah, that's a pretty big ego boost.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, I kissed the girl with the guy. I mean, wait, what?
Whoa. Home
I mean, if
record.
that's what you're
Alright.
into, that's fine.
Anyway,
Wait, hold on.
is
To defend myself so I don't look like a villain, that relationship was already falling apart because I had just found out like within that month that guy was actually legally married to someone that he brought into the States.
Oh,
And I was already cutting ties with that. So
Asians always trying to illegally marry their cousins for money,
yeah.
Dang, that's so weird.
He got paid for it though. So
and you got nothing.
I
Where's my share? We're married now. Do I get a share of your ex-boyfriend's money? I'm just kidding.
You stole
so,
his girl.
so the other thing was
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
steal Christina away. Also, I made the move to give her a kiss, and she didn't know. She backed up, but I still kept going. You know,
I was trying to be respectful.
but
you know?
Was it a good kiss? The
I
first
thought
kiss?
so.
She's
Christina?
laughing. She's like,
No, I pulled back.
She was
it
like,
wasn't a
he
full
needs some
pull back.
practice.
I kind of moved back. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but I didn't know that was the
Yeah.
reason. I
Yeah.
thought she just did that because she didn't want to
Like move fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just trying to get the bartender.
and you put a ring on it, dude. Look
That's
at
true.
It's a nice one. Nice ring.
Thank
How did you know she was like the one?
She's way different from all the other girls that I've had. So she wasn't about fighting like all the other ABGs. She didn't she was more about like family, where she was like, let's save money on this, let's, so she was not like cheap, but she knew how to save money, where other girls I was with just always try to spend money or use my money all the time, stuff like that, right? Because as a guy, you always spend money on girls,
Right.
and for her, she wasn't like that. So
Yeah.
I never met someone who was so cheap, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the Asian culture, dude.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Wait,
Conservative.
well, so I have a question. Since you guys asked us, I want to know, you guys been married for so long.
Yeah.
Like, obviously behind closed doors, there's always going to be certain, hardships in a marriage, right? Like, but there's also like what you guys, I see you guys on screen. I see you guys on your videos, like your family, like, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
But you guys been married for so long. Do you guys ever think like, oh, like, I wonder what it would be like to be single, like, at your
I
guys'
don't.
age?
No, I don't. I'm
I've definitely dreamt a little bit.
no, I don't think I'm missing out on anything.
Uh-huh.
I've every time I try to think about it, I'm like, I don't see it any other way.
I think for me, like, because when we met, we were like completely different people. And with you guys saying like you're very social, you're like very outgoing and stuff, and that's how we started. But then after having kids and everything else too, I think I'm still more like, oh, let's go do this, let's go out, let's go to the club or something.
I can see that. She's the more fun one.
Yeah,
No
and
offense,
then for
yeah.
him, if I turn, like I was saying before, if I bump up the music a little bit too loud,
Yeah, I
You
remember
know?
when we first met. It was in Vegas,
Yeah.
and then we went to the nightclub. We went to Zouk together.
Yeah.
all four of us. And I remember Christina was so hyped because it was like, you guys don't get to go out much because
Yeah.
of the
Never.
kids. And Christina was just so hyped. I remember like, me and him were just chilling in the back, and he's just like, oh, I'm ready when you guys are now.
and then you're like,
tired,
okay, I was
man.
like, no.
And I was like, bye. And then I stood up to the front to like get as close to the DJ in the back as possible.
You know why? It's
So I could
because
feel the music.
clubs are not meant for guys; they're meant for girls.
He loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had a
but
great time.
he loved it. But he's also looking for girls too. So, like, as a guy who already has a girl, I have no
Okay.
intentions of trying to have fun at the club. In terms, because when a guy goes to the club, he's like, okay, I'm gonna go find a girl, or if I'm with the girl, I'm gonna have fun with her and do all this stuff. And so, when now I'm at the club, I'm like, I'm not looking for a girl. My wife can have fun.
But what about the music part of it? Do you not like to dance?
Not so much.
Oh, you see, that's a you
Yeah,
problem.
the only time
he used
He
to
changed.
It
dance
doesn't
with
sound
me
like a
before.
married problem. It sounds like a you problem.
It's a personality thing. now.
I used to dance to try to get in the pants.
Hey.
Right?
Oh,
But
there's
now
a
it's
motive
like
for you.
Classic.
There's
aunt.
no motivation for that anymore. And no, I mean in terms of damn, dude. I mean in terms
Bury
of
the
like
hole.
Let's
I
go
don't-
rip on Aunt Ma episode 1.
I'm talking about like I don't need to go like the first time going on a date and then going to a dance and dancing on a dance floor. I don't need to do that type of feel anymore, right? Like the first date thing where it's like, let's try to grind a little bit and then let's see where that goes later. Like, no, I know where it's all gonna go. So let's just
You can try in other
let's
ways.
just chill at the table, drink up, and we'll go home and get it done.
Get it done.
No, but honestly, so for me, I love being married in my 30s. For you guys, where are you at with it? Do you think that you're better off now, or do you wish you'd be married now?
Are you living your best life?
I honestly, I do want to settle down. Like if I find the right one, I want to settle down. I want to, be able to have a family and everything like that. Like
Aw.
that.
But you are like also having fun right now too.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
just
having fun.
great being single.
I'm not just like, oh, I need to find a wife. Like I'm not out here
Yeah.
hunting.
Yeah.
Like I'm letting it come, and
Yeah,
like
let
I'm
it
gonna
all
have fun in the
naturally
come. Let it be
meantime. Like I'm
natural.
gonna meet people, but like ideally, if I find a person that I really connect with,
Yeah.
and that that really I can see long term, like that is really what I'm looking for. Like that's what I'm hoping for, but I'm not like actively, I would say, looking. But you know, like we're going out all the time. Like we have so many opportunities, I guess, that to meet people. But also, like, our lifestyle is just very different from before. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like we've been traveling every single weekend for 5 weeks in a row.
I know, it's been crazy.
Awesome.
You know, and it's like finding someone also that can match that type of energy and that lifestyle too.
Enjoy
really
your
difficult.
life right now, guys. As your older brother, you know, just really enjoy it. Like, if you don't have kids yet, you know, take your time. You don't need a rush. You don't need to rush getting married. Just enjoy your life. I'm very happy with where you guys are at right now.
Yeah, like this is like the first time where I've been able to find happiness like on my own.
Nice.
So like I've never experienced that before, and like being able to live my life to the fullest. Like I just started going to festivals like last December for the first time in my entire life.
I took her to her first festival. Actually, I took her to a lot of first things. Like
I moved to LA just because I wanted to start over. You know, like my life on the East Coast, it was a little bit done. I needed to change. And I've just felt like my life would be better here.
You definitely made the right choice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I think I did too.
Since he doesn't go to festivals anymore, you know, we can go to some.
Okay, yeah, let's go. Bye.
for your benefit.
I'll FaceTime you in, Ann. I got you.
Who is that?
I'll look out for you.
Your festival buddies.
You guys have a really great dynamic. I love it.
It's pretty funny.
Like, I don't see anyone else on, well, I don't follow anybody else from the show, but it seems like no one else really hangs out but you guys.
Yeah, they all suck. No, I'm just
What?
kidding.
No, we love them.
I'm joking. I'm very sarcastic. But yeah, I think the best thing that came out of the show is like us becoming best friends for sure.
That's awesome. You guys would never date?
We're very not compatible.
So now you're brother and sister.
We're like, we fight way too much.
Definitely.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just not.
And then in like 5 years, it's going to change and then you guys can get married.
No, I mean,
I don't see that happening. No offense.
we've had a lot of conversations about it. I mean, people always like assume that
they
you guys
assume
are
we're
dating. So
Yeah.
it's like the conversation gets brought up a lot. But like, yeah, even like from the get go, like after the show when she moved to LA and we were talking, like we got to know each other and like we saw the vibes and the chemistry and we were just like, no, like. I think there's a saying out there that's like, if you really like somebody or you really vibe with someone, it's better to be friends than to actually date, right? Because like people that you date, like, you know, they kind of almost come in and out of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
True.
for us, like we genuinely loved like our connection, spending time with each other, but there was just like no romantic spark, and that's okay, right? It's like, and I think that like even for both of us, this is our first really like close
You guys,
friendship from the other sex, I guess.
yeah, you guys are almost like best friends.
Yeah.
And this is when best friends fall in love. I don't know. I'm just kidding. All right. So in today's episode, guys. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how our sex life has been in our 30s. Because we got two people who have been dating in their 30s and two people who have been married in their 30s. And I'm pretty sure they're both very, very different. Or is it the same because we're all in our 30s? So, you know, you guys have been on the show less than a year ago. And I'm sure your life has changed and you've seen a lot of people since then. I'm sure a lot of girls and guys DM you and stuff. And, you know, how's your sex life now?
Oh my God. I was waiting to see where this was going to go.
I was like, is this
He's like,
a foreplay or are we just going straight in?
Straight in. As it transpired.
So when was the last time you had sex?
Not answer that question for sure.
Like, is it as active as it is when you were in your 20s? Or is it, so like, for example, in your 20s, we all just do it like rabbits, right? So like when you meet a new girl or new guy, you guys have sex, and especially for the first time, maybe you're going to do it like 2 or 3 times in the same night, right?
Oh,
And so in your 30s, I don't think that really happens.
Or does it?
It's just, okay.
Well, I mean, both of us were in super long-term relationships, right? So
Yeah.
like, we didn't really get that like F-boy, F-girl phase in our 20s to like go.
Right.
I never did
crazy.
either. But every time you had your first relationship, you did have that phase.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, the rabbit phase.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
rabbit phase.
The
yeah.
bunny hopping.
The
phase.
honeymoon
All day,
phase.
all night.
Sure.
In the shower, in the car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean,
what?
let's just say I feel like we're experiencing our 20s and our 30s, but with a more mature,
Gotcha.
level-minded headset.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're not
this makes
hoeing
sense.
around.
So this is why we got married young. It's because when we're in our early 20s, we did way too many drugs. We had a lot of sex. We did a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of bad stuff. to the point where we're like, okay, we're over it, and we got married. And these guys are just starting that
we're just
life.
starting all
That's
that
what I'm
now.
saying. You guys are complete opposites
You're
of
so
us.
responsible. You guys got your careers done first.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
And then I know people who were like single all in their 20s and now they're struggling to like get a career or like work
Exactly.
for themselves and
They're
stuff.
too focused on trying to chase girls or whatnot. Like the priorities weren't right.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I feel like the very mature one out of all my friends, like from high school, for example. And then they look at me and they're like, I think you did it right.
Yeah.
I was like, did I though? Because like I wish I experienced my prime in my 20s too.
Of course.
You know? So like when I was in my 20s, I was grinding so much. I didn't really have that many friends. And like now I just have so many, you know? So it's like it's totally opposite.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would do it any other way though for me. I think what's now is better than maybe if it were reversed. Yeah.
You know what I'm starting to realize is that the difference in the sex between your 20s and 30s is not about the quantity, it's the quality. So the sex in your 30s is much better because it's with, I guess,
More
almost the right
experienced?
people, right?
Yeah.
If you're dating, it's someone who you think is going to be the right person. For us being married, it is with the right person, so it's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, I think I didn't realize how much I was gonna learn. Because like
What do you mean?
when I was in my first 2 relationships, like you figure out like, oh, this is what my girl likes, you know, like you gotta, you know, it's like cracking a code. It's like, oh, you gotta lick the nipple.
Oh, yeah,
here, and then
yeah.
you do it like you gotta get the feel, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like you're cracking a code. Once you get the code down, it's like, all right, I got it, and then you play around with it here and there, and then my second ex, same thing. But then once you start like, you know, actually hooking up with other girls, and then you start like, you know, like realizing, oh no, girls get off differently. Like they like different things. And then you start like, you know, you're opening up the box. I'm like, I remember like I was like dating a girl and she was like, oh my God, like you're so proactive in wanting to learn. Like learn how to like, you know, like pleasure me or learn how to like be better. Cause I'm just like, yeah, like I want to be able to crack the code. Like, you know what I mean? And and I didn't realize that in my 20s. I was just like, oh, you know, probably all girls like that. But like, I'm like doing all these hand motions. But
Yo, chill, the Morse code.
So I get it, because you're, as a guy, you're trying to have this feeling of achieving accomplishments, right?
Because he was the same way when we first started going out. And then he used to tell me like, oh yeah, like I used to actually research to see like what techniques work and all this stuff. And that's how he learned everything.
I only did that for you. I never did that for any other girl. So I wanted to
effort.
pleasure you and like make things really happen.
yeah.
And I also want to be like, let's see what I can really master or do. So
Yo, that's the way. You got to research. Like,
No, that's good.
I've gone on Pornhub and just like, look, there's this guy, like, I think it's called like Mr. Pussy Eater or something.
Okay.
Like,
Sophisticated.
yeah, and like
Okay.
he just knows what he's doing. I'm just like, I want to learn. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out here,
God.
like, you know, trying to figure out tips and stuff. Like,
I've
I
done
think
the
that's
same.
great.
Like, so, like, you don't know. Sometimes guys watch porn because they, like what Vince is saying, they want to learn something, right? So sometimes it's like you want to learn how to make a girl squirt.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't realize like there's certain motions, right? Like the rhythm and stuff. Like you need to be in tune with it, and it's like a lot of it's like learning by trial and error too, right? Like you're going in, you figure out what they like, and it's like, I don't know, like that's the best part of like sex is like I feel like once you're that push pull of like, oh, like yeah, I like this, I don't, and you're kind of flirting with each other, and I don't know, the way that the sex develops in the relationship too, it's like people don't really see that because it's all behind closed doors, right? But that's such a vital part of like the chemistry that you guys have.
You know, so here's the difference. I think I don't think it's 20s and 30s. It's more like early 20s and late 20s. So my early 20s, I was just trying to fuck every girl and like just really do it for myself, right? I mean, I didn't do every girl.
that is how boys
I'm just
think,
saying.
so, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I was just like, I just want to go bang, 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 and that's it. But then in your late 20s, you're like, what can I do to master things?
Yeah.
So like, it's more of a mature thought process.
I think that's actually rare too, because I don't think I've met too many guys who actually try to look into like trying to figure out how to satisfy their women and stuff. Because usually they're just thinking about themselves and they're just like, no foreplay. I just want to get in, get out. I'm done. Like forget about my partner.
Yeah,
So-
very few men ask. And when they ask, I'm like, oh, he cares.
Right?
I was like, okay. I was like, let me keep him around for a little bit longer and see what happens. And I also think, like, in terms of like the chemistry you were saying, like emotional connection, at least for women, is really important.
Definitely.
Like, I cannot get off unless I'm emotionally connected with the dude, like no matter what. So no matter how skilled he is, I'll just be like, all
Yep.
right.
If
While
you're not
you're doing
connected
it.
mentally, you're
Yeah,
just
if
like,
we're not connected mentally, it's just not going to be good.
Wow.
So like actually, as I've gotten older, I'm more selective, like in who would be like my partner.
Yeah.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could be someone you can connect with, and he has like the smallest wee wee, and you'll still be okay.
Wee wee. Who says that?
I know we went from saying squirt to wee wee.
Yeah.
So it will get better after like the second or third time.
Oh,
With the
because you're
small
telling
wee
him
wee?
what to do, or you're
It's
adjusting
because
to
it's
it.
mentally like better because
Oh,
you're
I see.
connected with them
Gotcha.
more and you understand who they are and you love more about them.
Yeah.
Then you're making more love rather than it just being like animalistic. Because if he's like suffering in that department, then it's like there's
Suffering.
Wow.
there's nothing to go off of.
Wait, how small was the smallest guy you guys have?
You
had?
got,
I've seen a micro penis before.
What's a micro penis? What size is that?
4 inches or less.
Okay.
Well, I may
You're
have
a bunch of
experienced
guys
that
are
too.
punching air right now. You're like, what?
I'm cheering right now. I'm like, thank God.
I've had a partner where I didn't know like if he was in or not.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't feel it.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I guess I just have to go along with it, right? Because what are you going to do? Like,
So you just
sorry.
fake it
You're
the
really
whole
nice.
Huh?
You just fake it the whole time?
Well, I actually saw it and I left.
Oh, dang.
That's two different reactions.
I
right
know.
There.
Wow.
She was
I
like, "Let
dealt
me
with it. I'm
not
like, okay.
make him feel bad." I was like, I have to go.
Wow. Well, I've actually done that too. I've been on the other side where I put it in, and then I was like, oh, feels so sloppy. I'm out.
Like it was too wide.
Oh.
It was wide and just sloppy, and like
Sloppy. What does that mean?
it was big, and I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, because I
Like it kept queefing. Like it had too
it
much
did,
space.
it did. It kept making noises
So
too,
it was a little
and I was just like,
rundown?
and this was a girl that I dated for a while before getting it in, and then after that incident, I just completely dropped it.
See, that's why like when you say like women should wait like X amount of dates for sex, I think it really just depends on what you feel with that
connection,
person.
yeah.
Because like I've waited maybe like 4 or 5 dates before, and like with this one guy where I was like, oh my god, he might be marriage material, whatever. And then when we had sex, I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was like, I just wasted like a month and a
Yeah.
half of my time.
All right, so you guys have sex first. That's
Well,
what
no,
we
that's
learned.
not what I'm
No,
recommending
it
either.
depends
I'm
on
just
the
kidding.
connection.
Yeah, based on the connection,
Yes.
like you shouldn't be so harsh on your rules, is what I'm
Right.
saying. Like maybe have it in your mind, like be more selective. But if you have like a genuinely like amazing connection and it's like your second date and it's working out, then like it's okay.
Go
Is
for
this
it.
why people outside of the Asian culture who talk about sex more often and more comfortable about it, like Americans, they talk about these things on their dates before even having sex so they can figure it out?
What do you mean? Like, what do they talk about?
Like, oh, what do you like to do in bed?
I don't think people
I
talk
don't,
about
yeah,
that.
but I've never talked
no,
about
I've
it.
That's
I've
what I'm
had
saying.
I've
Asians
had
don't
that
talk
happen to me a
about it.
lot. And then I usually just don't date them.
So they're the ones who initiate it. And
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
because I feel like that would turn me off because
Yeah.
it's like,
It does
oh, so
turn
that's
me
the only
off.
thing that you want to know about?
Because I feel like
you know?
girls are extra alert, because in
we
this
have to be.
generation of dating where hookup culture is so rampant,
Yeah.
like you're looking for like, oh, it's this guy's just an F boy, right? And like every little thing that they say like can be misinterpreted that way, you're gonna be like, no, this.
Oh my
guy's not
gosh,
cool.
girls misinterpret things so far off the spectrum. It's wild.
I mean, these are pretty direct. Like if you see my dating app messages, it's just,
Oh,
do you
man.
want to have sex?
Yeah.
Basically, in the message.
Well, also
You know-
your dating app before was just straight titties. Like
No,
her,
it wasn't.
back in the day, yeah. Before like you were like,
it
oh,
was just
Vince, how
basically
can
my
I fix it?
Instagram, but like without the lingerie.
She showed a lot of titties, and I,
I
was
think
like,
that's just
this is
because
why
I
you're
have
dating.
them, Vince, and I'm wearing
But
lower
yeah.
cut
if you have
shirts.
them, show them. You know?
Yeah.
But it's like if you're looking
But
for
I
like
get what
a,
you're
if
saying,
you're looking
though.
for a husband,
Yeah.
right? Like you're
Yeah.
looking for long term, you gotta like have certain type of photos.
I
that
wasn't
are
like
more
purposely being like, oh, these are my titties, let's show them. It was just inadvertently like, these photos are already on my Instagram and they're beautiful and I took a lot
Well,
of
I'm
time.
telling you from a guy's perspective, though.
Right,
Like
no,
when you
but I'm
see
saying
a
from a
girl wearing
girl's
that and she has
perspective.
fake titties like that, and that's gonna be every in every
Okay,
photo.
but obviously that was not my intention, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
not your
but the guy
intention.
doesn't know that.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
right. But like in my defense, like I had no idea like that's what a guy would be thinking. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's just like, for me, this is what I show the public. So I'm going to show these curated photos in my dating app too, because they make me look the best.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, as like a big brother, anytime a guy looks at your photo or looks at you, they're thinking about sex.
No, yeah.
So-
now I know that. But
Yeah.
now it's like me. I have like one in my gym clothes. It's like a selfie. And then like one of me eating. And like, what are the other ones?
I just remember the one that I
But
took
they're
of you
much
at,
more,
at
like,
Korean
wholesome.
barbecue. Yeah, you have like, and you weren't actually showing your titties. You look like, you know, like kind of like, oh, like, you know, a little bit more like that. I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh,
what's
man.
up?
I didn't do this. Okay.
I know, but it was more like that vibe. You know what I mean? Where the other ones just like, you know, you're just like,
Oh wow.
you know.
Now I know why
like,
you guys
So-
are not gonna date ever.
Anyway. So yeah, but now I get like feedback where like guys are like, oh, your profile looks very wholesome.
Cool.
And I'm like,
That's awesome.
cool. So then I've adapted it, refreshing it with pictures that are similar to like what I actually do in my life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So I like to work out. I like to
Yeah.
eat. I do have like one red carpet photo because like I want them to show like I can't hide all of my content creation life. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's you.
I take off my Instagram to reserve judgment.
Yeah.
But I do put like one photo that looks a little bit more polished. So yeah, I have definitely more variety. One with my pets, so they know I'm like an animal lover, stuff like that. So
But see, I feel like guys, like when they look at girls, like their profiles, it's way less like analytical. They're just like more like smash or pass, right? Like when they're kind of just casually. But then like based off the smash genre, they're putting you in a box, right? So like, would I smash, hit it and quit it, or hit it and commit it? You know what I mean? Like there's like that box that they put you in
Okay.
already.
Is she like 1 month or is she 1 year?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like for guys, like when I'm making my profile, like I know girls are going to be analyzing everything, you know, in terms of height, career, you know, even just the quality of photos, like, or like how many of the photos are actually selfies. Like I know girls are looking into all that because like you said, like you're basically swiping no for most of them. And like the ones that you do swipe, you're like, oh, maybe I would actually go on a date with this guy. Right. And it's like for a guy, like you have to curate your profile much more like diligently, I feel like, to actually get matches.
I mean, that's not true. Like, you had to curate my entire dating app, and like you deleted all my photos, and were like, let me replace them
But
with all of these.
you had a bunch of matches, but you just didn't have the hidden committed matches. You had a bunch of hidden quitted type
I had
of
like a
matches.
wide cast net.
Yeah, but you still had matches in general. Whereas for guys, you're not even going to get matches unless you have a super curated, right? And then within those, maybe there's like a 5% of those girls are like, oh, I just want to smash this guy. And the other ones are like, oh, maybe
So I think
want to
like for guys, a curated one gets you more matches, and for women, a curated one actually gets you less matches but higher quality men.
It gets
That's
you more
true.
of the
Yes,
hidden
that's very
committed
true.
type of matches. And a lot
Yeah.
of girls don't know the difference. That's
Right.
the problem. That's the problem. They just think, oh, I'm hot. I get a bunch of matches, but they don't realize they're getting a bunch of just guys that just want to hook up with
Yeah,
them.
that
And-
was one big thing that he did teach me about, like looking better on my dating app to be taken more seriously.
Oh, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So that did
Yeah.
help a lot.
All right. The difference between having money in your 20s versus your 30s in a relationship. But obviously, it always starts off with what jobs did you guys have in your 20s, or what is your first job?
Are we talking about teenage years or like real
like,
jobs after
so,
college?
for example, for me, my very first job was working at the mall at Dairy Queen / Orange Julius. So I was making drinks, ice cream, hot dogs, and so I was making like, what was minimum wage back then? Like $6 an hour, $7
think
an
so.
hour.
Let's not
$8,
give away our
something like that, right? And it was just ridiculous at that time. But even making so little money, I was using that money not even for myself, not even to buy a car. I wasn't thinking about myself. I was just thinking about buying stuff for girls. Like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. Let's use this money to buy this girl this humongous 10 feet doll that she's just gonna throw away, you know? But you think it's like, it's sweet, right? So I would spend a lot of money on girls in my 20s at a minimum wage job.
So we're talking about in our 20s and not like our first job then.
Well,
Yeah,
that was his first job.
I was like 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first job was actually I tried working at McDonald's when I was 18, and I worked there for maybe like a day or two, and I quit because I was doing the register, I was doing everything. And then I also had to clean the bathrooms, which I did not like. That was one thing. But the one thing that really that set it off for me was like, I had like a male manager and he was trying to help me put on my uniform. And then like, it was like a button or like a bow that you have to put on. And he got so close to me. It was like face to face, and he was trying to like help me put it on, and I was so uncomfortable. And I just called off the next day and I quit.
I would have done the same thing.
It wasn't worth the money, McDonald's.
Was not worth the
pay
money.
up.
Hey, that's a lawsuit though.
What was-
like, we'll talk later.
No, that was a long time ago though, you know.
What is the point of girls having jobs?
Well, I wanted to work because I wanted to be more independent, because I've never really relied on my parents financially. And I think I guess I've always had the mindset to work because I wanted to save money, like for a family or for myself as I got older. Yeah.
That's why I married you.
Same with you.
I feel like that's so Asian culture though, right?
It
like
is.
growing up, even
like
for
save
me,
money.
Yeah, I was like always brought up in a culture that's like saving money. Like my dad, like we would shop at like TJ Maxx and Ross, and even when I bought stuff from Ross, my dad's like, "You got to go with me so we can get the Tuesday
clearance.
10% off senior citizen discount."
Yeah.
Like we would get clearance and then the 10% off on that. I'm just like,
That's
yo.
a steal.
Every time I go home, my dad's like, he'll show me the stuff that he bought, and he'd be like, "Guess how much?" Like, it's always the same. And I always overguess. I'm like 40, knowing deep down it's probably like 15, and he's like, "Mm-mm." And the look on his face of satisfaction
happy
of like
about
the deal he gets,
God.
it's like I just play into it every time, and it just makes him so happy.
What a good sign.
But yeah, but that's like, you know, instilled in me. So I've always
Yeah.
been very much like conscious of like money and saving, and I feel like I usually spend more money on other people than like myself, because my
Yes.
parents were like that, you know.
Do you think that's a guy thing? Because all I do is spend money on my friends and girls.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Yeah, that's definitely not a girl thing.
Yeah, no,
Like,
for
we
sure.
don't spend money on guys ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We usually don't have to. Right.
That's why,
Right.
like, so I've worked so many jobs in my past where sometimes it would be like 3 jobs during the same time, just so I could pay for going out for myself and then buying girls shots and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, my first job was also a minimum wage job. It was at Abercrombie.
Nice.
I filled the Asian status quo of my very white neighborhood.
You were that one.
Now
I was
it
the
makes
one
sense.
Asian.
That's a flex though.
Yeah, that is a flex.
Yeah, I was
That
like,
is a
oh my
flex.
God, maybe I'm pretty. You know what I mean? Because like at Abercrombie, you had to be like a certain level of attractiveness, I guess. So, and they always put me in the front.
Which is also
And
a
I was
lawsuit,
like-
right?
Now I
It is.
get
Sorry.
it.
Well, they have actually a documentary on Netflix about all of that. But yeah, I got that job because I wanted to buy better clothes. And that's how I got into fashion, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I finally had freedom to express my creativity. So before I would also shop at like Ross, TJ Maxx, and like Burlington Coat Factory.
Yeah.
My mom would always have like an envelope of coupons where she would like take out and like get the discount on top of clearance or like
Yeah.
whatever. So I had a very like saving mentality, like you can't spend. And then I got, I guess, kind of greedy, or like I really liked clothes all of a sudden. And I was like, well, I was like, can we go shopping again? I was like, I don't have enough clothes. There's not enough variety. Nothing's new. And then my dad was like, looked at me straight in the eye and he's like, you want your own clothes? You get your own job. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay. And I was like, let me go get a job.
Yeah.
So then I
Yeah.
started like asking all my friends what they did. And like the it job was Abercrombie. And I was like, do you think they would accept someone that looks like me? And then my friend, who was a white blonde girl,
Yeah.
she was like, I think they would if I referred you. So she referred me, and then I got an interview, and then my personality, I guess, won it over.
There's always that one Asian girl that works at Abercrombie.
Yeah, I was that
You
one
were
Asian
that
girl.
Asian girl.
Always that
You
one
were.
whitewashed Asian girl, which is like,
was so me.
I will never judge a book by its cover, because the way you look, you do your makeup, the way you dress is straight up ABG.
Is it really?
I knew he was going to
It
say
is.
that.
It is.
No
So I would
way.
never think you were whitewashed. And now it makes total sense when I ask you things about like Chinese culture or like Chinese food, and you're like, I don't know how to say this in Chinese or that. And like, I'm like, what? You look
Yeah.
so Chinese.
But ABGs are more in tune with their culture.
they are.
They
yeah.
are.
That's true.
It's just because, like, I also don't get along with them as well. Like, because I'm like, what are you doing? Or like, why are you dressing this way? Or like, what food is that? You know, like there's still differences.
So like a cultural difference still, even though you're both.
I'm like in between. So
This
right,
is how we're gonna find out if you're a true ABG or not. Is your favorite drink Hennessy?
No, it's not.
There you go. She is not
I'm
an
actually
ABG.
not. I might look like one, and I might have like the ABG starter toolkit. You know what I mean? Like I could easily become a full-on ABG.
You can.
But I didn't even know Hennessy was an Asian drink until I moved to LA.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
that's like recent.
That's how out of touch of like Asian culture I am.
Wow.
And I'm going back to black. You know, Amy Winehouse. Like, yeah, I've actually moved to LA to become more Asian, but more like by food and culture. You know what I mean? Rather than like ABG. Although now I'm going to festivals, so that's kind of pretty ABG. So
it is.
yeah.
Well, my first job, I worked at one of my first jobs. It was at a cafe
Why do you sound so sexy right now?
because we're doing this late night.
It's not even late. Guys.
It's like middle of the afternoon.
It's 1:30 for a podcast because you can't take off the shirt, you know.
Oh, that shirt's gonna slowly come off.
No, I worked at a cafe. I actually worked there because I wanted to start a chocolate company.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm not going to give away too much because who knows, I might still start it, but it was going to be like a chocolate cafe. And so I was like, oh, I should get some cafe experience. And so I worked at this like sandwich shop that was also kind of a cafe.
Yeah.
And I would be like making coffees and stuff and handling the register and just to get that customer experience. But I was also doing like the dishes in the back.
Oh, wow.
And so I was doing all of that
You're
stuff.
doing
But I remember my boss would always tell me like, oh, like Vince, like you're so great with the customers, but you're just kind of slow. Like I was just like, kind of slow moving. Like some of these other people that were hustling, they were just like, bam, making these sandwiches, cutting. I'm just like, I was like kind of taking my time with certain things. So I didn't last very long. Yeah. I lasted maybe like 3 months or so. But I just like, I wanted to gain that experience so I can start my own company. But what I decided instead, we were deciding between my ex-girlfriend and I, between starting a chocolate cafe kind of company or starting a hot sauce company.
Nice.
And we decided to actually do the hot sauce company first because it was less overhead in terms of, like, because you have a cafe, you have to have like, a brick and mortar, right? And you have to have all this like staff and you're committed to being there all the time.
Yeah. Right.
Whereas a product, right? Like we can get a co-packer manufacturer to like make the product and we don't actually have to be in a physical location. And it was just a lot more, less risk at the time. Because I remember we started the hot sauce company. It was just like her dad's sauce. And we were just like, oh, let's just see if people would like it. Because I used to love it. I asked for it all the time. I was like, there's nothing like this at like Ranch 99. And we should sell it to, at this farmer's market. I remember the first farmer's market we sold out like 75 jars in
that's crazy.
like an hour and a half at the Alhambra farmer's market.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, okay, no, this is for real. Like there's potential. And I just loved selling it. I love like telling people about it. I love sampling, and telling people like about the sauce. I was like very passionate about it and it just, blew up. And now, 5-6 years later, it's in all of like the Whole Foods and Sprouts. And it was like the original chili oil sauce. Cause now you see all these chili oil sauces coming out. Right? Before it was Laogama. And then we were like, you know what? There's no like elevated chili oil sauce, right? Like the product itself is like around $8-10. It's not cheap, but the ingredients are like high quality. It's for people that, are a little bit more health conscious that, can't afford more of a specialty item. Yeah. And so we were targeting a complete different demographic. And then now that whole market has blown up, like a bunch of chili oil sauces. Wow. But yeah, like my life before being a lawyer now, in my like late 20s, 30s, I was like entrepreneur, like hustling.
Yeah,
like,
you did it
crazy.
right. Like we're here talking about McDonald's and Dairy Queen, and you're saving up for starting your own business.
Yeah, I'm like,
holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I also I had the luxury of having great family support, right? Yeah. Like like a lot of my other friends, they had to be working to be able to pay off certain things at the time. Yeah. Like I was lucky I didn't have that, on my mind. I'd have to worry too much about it. So I did have the luxury, which I talk to my parents about it too. It's like, having Asian parents, like immigrant parents, right? Yeah. Like in their generation, they're coming to US, they're like in survival mode.
Yeah. That's
right. That's why like all the saving and all that is like very much prominent in their mindset. Whereas for us, we're in the luxury of being able to grow up here. We have that more, luxury mindset or the more like, okay, we can actually take more risks. you know, so because of that, I think at a your early age, I was able to take some of those risks and just like start businesses instead of having to worry about, you know, oh, can I pay the bills?
I had a different type of risk mentality. Mine was just like, well, I'm young. I can keep making money, so I'm going to keep spending on girls. And then it is what it is.
See, I was in a
Priorities.
long-term relationship, so like I wasn't even like, I think you spend more money when you're trying to date,
When you're
right?
dating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you go to
dating.
movies,
Yeah.
you got all these
Yeah.
adventures.
Very
Dude,
true.
first dates are like the most expensive. If you don't know what you're doing, I remember when I first started like dating after my relationships ended, I remember I'd be spending like $200 on just
a
like
first
dinner and
date?
drinks. And I'm just like, dude, I can't be doing
Yeah.
this.
I mean, that's the same thing going to a club with your boys. You'd probably be spending that much too.
Right, just on drinks. And it's such
Yeah.
like a bad financial decision.
It is.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to learn and like be like, okay, I'm gonna remove myself from that because that temptation is always gonna be there.
But you know, whether it's like when I was young in my 20s and spending money on the girls, and now I'm married in my 30s and spending money on my family, I'm still kind of doing the same thing. Like if I want to go to a basketball game, I gotta buy a ticket for her, Christina, too. The same thing if I was dating someone. So I'm just constantly spending money on.
Yeah, but the
girls.
investment isn't going to stay, right? Because you guys are sharing memories
That is very
together.
true.
Oh.
If it's a girl that you're just
It's-
blowing all this
yeah.
money, but you
Yeah.
guys don't work out, it's like, well, you're never going to see her again. Like, you guys are creating memories and experiences together.
Yeah,
That's
so
an
it's worth it.
investment.
It's
yeah.
a long-term investment.
Yeah, and you were telling me how like you're gonna take your daughter to see an Aces game, right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is gonna be her, you know, like child development. She's trying to figure out what type of hobby she wants to do. Maybe she'll end up being a basketball player
I would
because
love that.
of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she wouldn't have been exposed to that if it wasn't for that game.
And you're giving her these good experiences. So when it comes time and she's older and she finds a man that she wants to date, he better treat her like that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
She's
So you're
learning
setting
how
a very
emotions-
good
that's-
example.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
You want to I wouldn't say like spoil your kids, but show them the luxuries of life so they know what they deserve
In
and
a
what they can work
partner.
hard for. I think
So,
that's what's really important.
I should be treating her like we're actually on a dad and daughter date.
that would
right?
be
I
think
so
that'd be
cute.
a good
Opening the
mindset,
door for
yeah.
her.
Yes.
Giving her a flower.
That goes a
buying her
long way.
food.
That's true.
Yes.
Yep.
You have to set the
I
standard high from the
100%
start.
because like my dad didn't do that kind of stuff and I
Yeah.
wish he did. So I knew when going into dating what I deserved without like learning after so many years what I did, you know? So I could have saved so much
Yeah.
time.
How do you guys know this without having any kids? I'm like, I've been a dad for 5 years.
This is what you get for being single in your 30s. You're just smarter.
Jeez. Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, like, on the woman's perspective on having like more money in your 30s,
Yeah.
I think it makes you more selective as a partner, and you don't have to worry about like relying on a man as much. So, like in my 20s, like I stayed in my relationship probably a little bit too long
Yeah.
because I was financially dependent on him. Because we were sharing the space, we were sharing finances. So I probably dragged it on like another year or two more than I
Because of the
should have.
baggage.
Because I was
That's
like,
tough.
oh my God, I can't leave. I'm going to be homeless. I can't
Right.
afford my place. And like, I didn't have like my parents' help or reassurance that they would help me. So for me, it was like survival. Whereas like now I know I can afford my own place. So I can be like a lot more picky and like understand the type of personality and type of person that I would want rather than like rely on financial
So
stuff.
when you're in that relationship, you're paying for half the bills.
He at the time, since he was much older, he was like 7 to 8 years older. So
Yeah.
he was paying for like
wow.
60% of the bills.
That's
Is how
still
we did
great
it.
though, because in all my relationships, I had to pay for all the bills, and even though they said they would pay for half, they end up never paying.
Yeah, I mean,
Not in our
my
relationship.
my scenario is also very different. Like even though I was like paying less, I felt like the breadwinner because he was in a lot of debt also.
Oh, okay.
So I was the only one accumulating positive wealth, if
Got
that makes
it.
sense. So it was a very like odd situation where the roles were reversed. So to me, like I want to become financially independent so I never have to go through that again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's
that
like
makes
I
sense.
was financially independent, but he didn't have the mentality of like an ambitious person. So I was like, I felt like I was stuck in a weird situation where like he made more money, but he had less money.
Yeah,
So I was
that
like,
you're just spending too much.
yeah. So now I'm just relying on myself. And that's why like my standards for finding a man, a lot of women are kind of like delusional and they're like, he's got to make like 500K or above or like whatever. It's got to be tall, 6 feet, very attractive. But for me, I'm like 80 to 100K, it's totally fine. Because like if I make that much or more, like we're in this together.
Yeah.
You know, and like he doesn't have to be super tall. Like I really don't care. Like, you know, so my standards are probably more realistic than most women because of I think the long-term relationship I had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
good for you too, you know.
Yeah, I think so. Still haven't found that person yet, so I'll report back.
But I think that also shows like, you know, the real ones from the fake ones, because like the real ones, they're not just after your money, right? And like for a guy, like you kind of have to be able to see through those things, because being a lawyer now, I get a lot of women that, you know, they expect certain things, right? They expect me to have money, to be, you know, taking them out to like the nicest restaurants and like, you know, driving a super nice car. Like they have a certain mentality. So it's like me trying to see through those things. So it's like before, I would be kind of like, okay, I'm gonna take them out and spend that type of money. And then I started learning. I was like, no, like the real ones are just, they just want to see effort.
Yeah.
And this is my tip for like all of like my broke kings or like the financially conscious kings out there. Like it's not about spending the money, it's about the effort. And the effort translates into creativity. So for example, instead of doing dinner and drinks, like for a date that I like to do is like, okay, let's grab a bottle of wine and let's just go to the beach. Let's go to like the lifeguard tower.
That's nice.
And just like listen to the waves and talk and like enjoy each other's company, you know? And if a girl is down to do that, that means they're interested in getting to know you and not just for a free dinner.
That's true.
You know what
that
I
makes
mean?
sense. I've always loved like going to the beach and like having like a picnic or just going out there to like connect with someone.
Exactly. And
That's
it's
a good
something
point.
different. It's something unique, because these girls, they go on so many dinner dates already. It's like you're just going to blend into their memory of like, okay, this is just another date. They might not even remember it. But if you do something
That's
unique
true.
that, you know, will, you know, give them a different type of like perspective on like, oh, maybe this guy's coming from a different type of place. You know what I mean? This guy's like actually got some real intentions here because he's putting in effort and thought. And you also got to think about the little things too. Like if you're on dinner and a date, or a dinner like and drinks, you're like sitting across from that person, right? There's more of like an awkward distance. I feel like with like a date idea, say like going to a lifeguard tower, you're right next to them, right? Like you're able to
side by side.
yeah,
rather
you're able
than
to break that physical
separated.
barrier, right? So like these are all things that I feel like guys need to think about in terms of like, okay, how do I get a successful first date? Like you need to break down some of those barriers.
You're such a pro and a master in dating now and breaking it down that it's very motivating. I'm like, damn, let's start dating again.
That's what they say. With each other?
Oh, yes,
You guys should be.
That's
like,
what they say. In a marriage, you have to go on dates. And
Absolutely.
it's hard though when we have kids, especially moving out here to Vegas. We don't have a babysitter, but I think, you know, we do really have to make that investment and try to have some kind of dates.
We try, right? So like we'll go on the dates with the kids. So we'll go have a nice fancy restaurant with a steak and lobster dinner. The kids are with us.
But it's different.
Yeah, you gotta have one without the kids.
Well, we don't have that option, so we just gotta ignore the kids.
No,
maybe-
you
no,
just gotta work harder for it. You gotta find a good sitter.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
Trust anyone yet. I mean, like Enzo's still, you know, in his potty training phase.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
So-
gonna happen overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you
Until
can
he
start interviewing, start seeing them, like see what happens, see referrals.
Yeah.
Start asking around.
We do have a couple people in mind, but when Enzo's like, help, wipe my butt, help, then I'm like, okay, we're not ready yet.
Well,
You know,
they
so-
will be going to school soon, so then we can prioritize dating again after that.
Or going on trips and stuff. I remember like when me and my ex of 9 years, right, we started the company together, the Hot Sauce Company.
Yeah.
One of the biggest reasons why our relationship didn't work out, I think, is because of the business. Like on our dates that we would go out, we'd be talking about the business all the time.
always about
Right?
work.
It's almost like having kids, right? It's like it's our family. It's like the business was always in the center of it.
Yeah.
And because of that flirting, that, you know, like actually going on dates to be, you know, in the romantic type of like mood, it just wasn't there. And we couldn't really like force that.
Yeah.
You know, and that started being the problem, I think, down the line, like long term. So, you know, that's my advice for people too. It's like, if you're in a long-term relationship, like try to keep dating, like, no matter what, you know, what it is, whether it's a family, whether it's a business, like you need to still have that like romantic spark there.
Yeah, because I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we have, because ever since we've been in the YouTube space on social media, our work life is connected to our personal life. So there's not really too much of a balance because everything revolves around work.
You have to like schedule your dates, schedule even your sex, like all of these things. I'm serious.
As crazy as it sounds, right?
That's what I did in my relationship. Like when it was like not going well, I was like, hey, listen, like, where's the romance? I was like, I want you to take me out. I was like, can we set aside some time at least once a month for a very nice dinner? Or like, once a week where we're going to have dedicated no distraction time. So you really need that.
That's where that compromise is. Like, she understands that you need to schedule things in. She used to get mad when she's like, you got to schedule this in with me. I'm like, yeah, because or else I'm gonna, like, I just have to.
If you're a busy person, you do have to schedule time to do that. And as regimented as it is, it's better than it not happening at all.
Because if you don't schedule it in, then you're kind of mixing in everything that you do throughout the day with what you're trying to do with your wife. Right. And it's not 100%.
Yeah,
but
and
when
you're
you
going to put it on the back burner.
You can block everything out and then focus 100% on whatever you're trying to do. Right? So that's great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I schedule it, it's like I always made sure to dedicate it. And like when you schedule it, you look forward to it. You're like, oh yeah, Thursday at 6:00, I have a date with my boyfriend. We're going to watch this movie. And like the whole week, you're planning little bits of it. So you're building that excitement again. And you need to keep creating those butterflies.
I think people underestimate that. Like the longing for something, just like when you miss somebody, right? Like if you have a long distance relationship, like that longing, like missing, like not getting that instant gratification. It's like, oh, I want to see you now. Now I got it. Like that longing, that building of like anticipation. People underestimate just the power of having that in a relationship.
Yeah. And then people say like financially, comfort is the killer of ambition, but in a relationship, comfort is the killer of love.
Yeah.
Right. Because you see each other all the time. You're just like, oh, I can have sex anytime. Like it's whatever.
Yeah.
And just becomes less of a special thing.
That's true.
Wow, a lot of great advice here, guys. I love this episode. Thank you for coming on once again. Guys, make sure to subscribe to the channel and also follow us on all the podcast platforms for Love and Rice. Thank you, Kasey and Vince, for being here. Follow them, check it out in the description box, and click on all of their social medias. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace.